Morning, it's time for morning announcements. But I figure that tonight is probably not a good night to hand out any detentions, to call anybody to the office. No sports announcements tonight. Because do you realize that if I was going to give sports announcement tonight, it would be maybe about the Navigators, or a little further back it would have been the Crusaders, right? If we go really far back, it would have been the Raiders. Were you a Raider? Yeah.
Blue and gold.
Blue and gold. Now it's white and blue. Things have changed. 80 years old. Not me, the school. I just wanted to make sure you understood that. It's not me that's 80. Back in 1932, north of Toronto, a group of believers started a school which was called Ontario Bible School, OBS. A number of years after that, they moved and in Niagara started a school named Niagara Christian College. Years later, then we changed that name to Niagara Christian Collegiate because we added grades 7 and 8. And of course, as you know today, it is now Niagara Christian Community of Schools, kindergarten up through grade 12. Things have changed. Many things have changed over the years. I have a question. I don't know whether as students you recognize how significantly you have impacted our lives as faculty, as teachers, as leaders. And it is such a privilege for me to be here with you tonight. Just seeing some of you walking in, coming and sitting around tables takes me back many, many years. And it is a definite joy for me to be here tonight. I almost feel like I'm in class. People talk when I was teaching in class as well. How did this happen? No. I do need to say one thing here at the beginning, and I do have some thoughts I want to share with you tonight. And I'm going to ask if you guys, as meal is being served, if you can just give me your focus and attention for about the next 5 minutes, because there are some things I want to share with you here tonight.
No talking!
First of all, I just want to say hello to you from my wife, from Mrs. Lebold. She could not be here tonight. She would have loved to come with me, but I know she would also say hello. Many of you, especially back to the older group, part of graduation was coming and spending graduation evening or pre-graduation evening in our home. And that was a joy for me. In fact, Alan Wong put a picture together tonight, and I saw some grads on Facebook sitting around our living room enjoying an evening together, and that was one of those special memories again. Thanks, Alan, for doing that. As I reflected over the last, and I think it's true here tonight, relationships are key. Relationships with people, relationships with the Lord are vital in who we are and what makes us important. Staff members, teachers, think back to who some of your teachers were at NCC. How many of you remember Mrs. Whistle? Yeah. Mr. Clausen, right? Mr. Lake. Those teachers, those staff made a difference in your life, and you made a difference in their lives. Parents, We have a parent committee here, many current parents over on this side of the room. Again, think back to you as students. Your parents made some pretty difficult decisions when they said, I'm going to send you halfway around the world. I'm going to send you to NCC. They sacrificed. Some of you are still sacrificing. You sacrifice time with your child. It costs money. You have made a significant impact on your child by sending them to NCC. And you as students, you've impacted each other. You've changed each other's lives. You have made a difference in the lives of other people. And the friendships that you have today, as you sit around those tables and remember, is because you spent time together. You worked, you had fun, you lived together. And over the past couple of days, it has been such a joy for me to meet some of you, listen to some of the stories of what God's doing in your lives, to see some of you with your children. That makes me feel old, but it's a joy to see you with your children, talking to some of you, and you've got children who are graduating. That makes me feel very old, but it's wonderful. The other thing about relationships, and I've talked to a few of you here already tonight. As many of you recall, just a little over a year ago, I had a heart attack, was in hospital. And over those couple of days that I was in hospital, my wife would keep coming and saying, can't believe all the emails you're getting. Can't believe on Facebook people that are emailing and saying, I'm praying about you, thinking about you. That to me was a significant time and an encouraging time, knowing that I had literally had people around the world thinking about me, praying for me, and I know my family also greatly appreciated your being there. Even though you physically weren't there, you were there because of your prayers, and I am grateful forever for that. When I think about NCC, I think about names. Sider, right? Mr. Sider. Chan. Winger. What are a few other names that you remember? Chow. Yeah. That was one of those I couldn't pronounce. I was always I couldn't say it right. And then there's Che, Tse, Chi, you know. Graduation. 3 weeks ago we had graduation at NCC. I'm standing on campus talking to some of the grads, parents. Young man walks up to me and I said, I know you, but I don't know you. I can't remember your name. And he said, I'm Albert. Albert Hoyt. Hoyt? Yeah. And he said, Mr. Lebold, do you remember what you used to call me? And I'm going, well, yeah. He says, you always used to call me Albert Hooey. And I'm going, no, I didn't. In fact, he said, Mr. Lebold, you always called me, always introduced me as Mr. Hooey. So he said, I started introducing myself to other people as I'm Albert Hooey. I changed his name. Talk about impact. And of course, along with relationships, with those friendships you had, remember, boys, remember the water fights on dorm? Yeah? How many of you ever skipped chapel? Yes, Kevin, I know you did. Chicken wings, chapel times, worship team, long talks, getting up or not going to bed at night till about 3 in the morning, right? Alan, question, did you get the project done last night? Good man. Now, or the other, I guess it wasn't last night, it was the previous night, wasn't it? How many times did you stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning studying for a test? A lot, I know. And of course, my assumption would have been that you were probably studying physics or calculus, maybe a little bit of English, right? But again, with those relationships, those friendships that you had, they have changed your life. Can you hang with me for one more minute, folks? Give me a minute. Just 2 more minutes. Over the years, 1932, there was all of about 20 students at OBS. 1974, when I started teaching at NCC, we had 135 students. Those numbers have changed significantly. We've added grades. The mission statement. Every school has a vision statement or a mission statement. The words have changed. The words are not the same today as they were 35, 40, 50, 80 years ago. But the intent is the same. To educate young people and to present Jesus Christ. To present Jesus Christ to young people in words, but also in actions. And my hope and my prayer is that whenever you studied at NCC, and whether you recognize it or not, you saw Jesus Christ in the lives and the hearts and the actions of people. And I know that for some of you, that was a change in your life. That was a significant impact in your life. Christian lifestyle classes, Bible classes, chapel times, sitting down and talking with teachers, sitting and talking late at night with some of your classmates, struggling through those basic questions of life and work and future and career and what do I do? And I know that many of you have allowed Jesus Christ to become a part of your life, and it's been that has made a difference in how you handle life today, and probably how you handled life as a student at NCC, or even in university. I talked about when I had my heart attack. The fact of knowing that I had people praying for me, kids, adults, friends, neighbors, that made a difference in my life. And I want to read you something that I wrote for the yearbook back in the year 2001. Some of you probably have this yearbook somewhere in a box in your room. I love a good thunderstorm. Lightning that lights up the landscape and thunder that makes you jump. But storms are not always enjoyable. Sometimes stormy times in our lives are not enjoyable. That year the choir sang a song entitled "The Storm is Passing Over." It seems that many of you have walked through stress and storms in your lives this year, that year, 2001. Some of you experienced death in your family or among friends. Others of you struggle with health problems, the disappointments of failed ideas, and the loss of friendship. Storms are part of your life. They're a part of your life today, I know that. Some of you even tonight have talked about the challenges of your life. The question is, what did you learn in the midst of that storm? I hope that you learned that there are people in your life who care about you, who are willing to stand beside you, who support you. And I also hope that you learn that you have a depth of character, of courage, of strength that you did not realize before. And most of all, I pray that you recognize that God was there in the middle of the storm, loving, caring, and providing hope for you. During the storm or after it passes over, remember, God is there. He is always there. Remember this as you move on to your future. I wrote that in 2001, and I think that's as appropriate today as it was back in 2001. Remember that God is there in the storms of life. and keep him there as you move into your future. Last couple of comments. Future. What does the future look like for NCC? Some of you probably haven't been back on campus for a lot of years. If you walk back on campus today, it's going to look different than it was when you were there. Belmont Hall, it's still there. But did you know that right now we're not using Belmont Hall because it needs, there's no heating system right now in Belmont Hall. It needs to be rebuilt. It needs to be refurbished. It needs to be changed. If you walk back on campus in September, you're going to see different faculty. Yes, Mr. Clausen is still there. Mr. Haynes is still there. But most other teachers that you had, they're not there anymore. Some of them are sitting over here at this table. New English teachers, new ESL teachers. Faces have changed. There's no students that you would recognize anymore. But 1932, a group of people said, we need to start something. We want to build a school. We believe that God is saying it's time to train up young people. We want to begin a school. And alumni and friends and people and parents and you folks have been a part of that history of NCC for 80 years now. People who have said, I'm going to support it through prayer. People like Eamon and others who said, I'm going to support it by sending my children there because I had a good time there as a student. I'm going to send my children there. People who have said, I can't be there to help personally. I'm going to financially support the school to make it possible so that you as a student could come and study, so that people in the next generation can come and study in a school that has quality, not only quality in people, but quality in facility as well. If you caught part of the video that was just shown, you see about a new campaign. 3 areas. There's 3 areas noted in that campaign. Number 1 is Belmont Hall needs to be rebuilt. It needs to be refurbished. No longer a residence. We've got a new beautiful residence for the girls. We don't need that one. But we need to redo that building. It's a gorgeous building. We can't rip it down, but it needs to be changed. We need a new process of technology on campus, and I guess I'm done. There we go. Don't you wish that could have happened when I was teaching calculus? No luck. No luck. Two last comments. A campaign, refurbishing Belmont. Number 2, a need for increased technology. Yes, we've got wireless technology on campus. That needs to be expanded. Many of our classes are using IT, computers. Yes, we have some excellent equipment, but it needs to be changed, needs to be developed. Thirdly, we need increased financial aid for some of our students. Scholarships, supporting students to come to NCC. No, we're not here tonight saying as you leave this room, here, put some money in an offering plate. No, we're not doing that. But what we are saying too, and I need to say this very carefully, and you need to hear this, so you need to be quiet for a moment. You are part of the history of NCC. You have been a part of the history in NCC in terms of relationships. The friendships that you have around your table, I hope they never are lost. I hope that when you are 90 years old, you still say that friendship, that relationship that I have with that person is still important. My relationship with God is still important. You are part of the history of NCC. You are also part of its future. And in terms of future, this is what I want to ask of you. Number one, I want to ask you to continue to pray for NCC. Always. Remember us and pray for us. Number two, yes, we would love to have your kids coming to NCC. Or your grandkids. Yes, we would also encourage you and appreciate if you were able to financially contribute to a campaign to have an impact on young people for 5, 10, 50, or another 80 years down the road. 80 years ago, people said, I'm going to commit to putting a school together that made a difference in your life, in your child's life. We today need to make a difference in NCC so that in 80 years from now, people can look back and say, thank you for being a part. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for your part in what NCC is all about. Billy will note this at the end as well, but we have a number of packets of information involving the campaign. We would like to put one of those packages into your hands if you would be interested in looking a little more for the information, getting a little more detail, finding out a little more about what it is. Those will be available at the end. Talk to me, talk to Scott.